Ministry Brands and Shelby Systems just recently returned from a vision trip to El Salvador, where we visited a child development center that our company is helping to sponsor. Driven by gang warfare, violent crime, natural disasters, and extreme poverty, El Salvador is recently named as one of the world's most dangerous countries, and unfortunately it seems like the children are suffering the most. Up next, we'll talk with our Compassion International team leader in the village of Casero El Tablon and find out what happened on this unforgettable adventure. We're here with Jeannie Wilkinson of Compassion International in the beautiful but impoverished country of El Salvador. Jeannie, why don't you tell us how you got involved with Compassion International and a brief history of the organization?
My initial beginning with Compassion was simple. There was a Compassion Sunday at my church. Rosalinda, her face was in one of the child packets on the table. It captured my attention. I picked it up, and from then, which was 2012, I started my involvement with Compassion. Compassion International has been around for the better part of 65 years. It began with Reverend Swanson out of Chicago when he was visiting Korea during the Korean War, and he was walking the streets early in the morning and saw what appeared to be garbage, and it was really children, orphan children, who were wrapped up and discarded. And it captured his heart and really compelled him to want to change the outcomes for those children. And so it began with a 30-child orphanage in Korea, and today the number is 1.7 million children in 26 countries.
Can you tell us when Compassion began work here, how many centers you have, and how many children you're helping?
Compassion International began its work in El Salvador about 40 years ago in 1977. And over the course of that 40 years, we have 180 child development centers with over 45,000 children being sponsored. Ministry Brands has recently sponsored the opening of a new child development center, which is where we are spending our time today. The need is so great in El Salvador with the gang infestation just crushing this country. And so Compassion's programs here and through the churches is really the light of the community.
Well, my favorite part of the trip, I believe, is going to be meeting my sponsor child. I'm supposed to meet him in a couple of days, and I hope we just hit it off and have a great time. Can you tell us what that $38 a month does for a child in El Salvador?
The children who are attending the Compassion projects, we address them holistically through their spiritual, economic, physical, and social needs. So that $38 a month helps a child engage with other children. It enables a child to have a meal each and every day. Children are staying in school longer because they receive tutoring and education supplements while they are at the Compassion Center. And then most importantly, they learn about the Word of God and the gospel and the hope of Jesus Christ.
So Jeannie, what kind of activities do you have scheduled for us this week in El Salvador?
Well, it promises just to be an amazing trip for all of the attendees from Ministry Brands. We're hosting a vacation Bible school on our first day at the Compassion Center that Ministry Brands supported its opening. We're also visiting homes of sponsored children and understanding from a family's perspective how Compassion has been transformational in their lives and the lives of their children. We're also going to witness some complementary interventions such as income generation that just serves to come up around the child to help further break the cycle of poverty. And on the last day, everyone will be meeting and playing with their sponsored children, which always is the highlight of any trip.
Well, as I mentioned, I'm looking forward to meeting my sponsored child, Christian Gabriel Romero Martinez, and I'm going to give him a backpack full of toys, and I've got a picture book of my life I want to show him. How important is the visit from the sponsor when they come to El Salvador?
When a sponsor visits their child, it is so important to that child. First, they can't believe that somebody from across the world has come to meet them. And that whole they are known, loved, and protected is exemplified just in that visit. And Compassion really emphasizes the relational aspect of sponsorship. And so for that child to meet that sponsor, and equally important for that sponsor to meet that child, it really is the glue in that relationship, and it really is transformative in both the life of the child and in the life of that sponsor.
One of the things I know Compassion International does is they encourage you to write letters to your sponsor child and build a relationship with him. I read a story about one of the letters that was so important to a child that actually kind of risked their life to go back into the house and get it. Do you have any stories you can share with us like that?
I'll share my own story about the impact of letter writing on a child. So my first child, I was sharing earlier, Rosalinda, I sponsored from Bolivia. And I didn't really understand the frequency of letter writing, and I wanted to make sure Rosalinda was getting her letters. And I realized over the course of 1 year, I wrote her 26 letters. Well, the impact of those letters was really underscored when I met Rosalinda in Bolivia. So I had the opportunity to meet her, go into her home, and the first thing she did was bring out the book of letters. And she wanted to go through all of the pictures one by one. And for her, it was her way of connecting with me, learning about me, growing her relationship with me, which is as important as the sponsor growing their relationship with that child.
Well, Jeannie, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. I just really enjoyed meeting you. Thanks for showing us around and doing such a great job as the Compassion International leader. If someone wants to learn more about Compassion International or perhaps sponsor a child, what would be the best way for them to learn how to do that?
To get more information about how you can get involved with Compassion, I would recommend visiting our website, compassion.com. There you can choose to donate to our many different funds that support children in poverty. You can sponsor a child immediately. We have child selection from 26 countries, all in need of a sponsor. You can write your sponsored child. There are lots of different ways to get involved, and I encourage anyone to go to compassion.com to learn about how to do that.
Andy Stanley says, do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. That's how you deal with a problem like worldwide childhood poverty. This was the most meaningful trip I've ever taken, and I'm just so grateful to work for an organization that cares about the lives of children in impoverished nations. If you'd like to learn more about taking one of these life-changing vision trips, or perhaps sponsoring a child and making their life better for about $1 a day, just visit the website that you see there on the screen. Thanks to everyone on the ministry brand, Shelby Systems, and Compassion International teams for making this trip possible. It was the adventure of a lifetime.